some things that Conor would yell out made sense to me, where I go, oh, okay, yeah, he kind of sees it a certain way. Like, you don't get to be a champ without having some kind of offbeat insight that maybe the average person doesn't understand fully, or that it makes perfect sense to you. It's just hard to communicate. To me, when I heard Conor McGregor, sometimes it just sounded like you would hear things like, these things, you got to get with the thing, and then you got to hit him with the moolie wop. And then when you go with the moolie wop, then you come back and you come around and you go, huh? I don't know what that is. What did you make that up? What is up, ladies and gents? It is your friendly neighborhood BJJ podcaster, Rafa Esparza, coming to you with another great installment of the Grappling Hour. I'm excited. So our guest, who's waiting in the wings, and I can see him in the green room, if you would, I can't wait to make fun of him because he's been on national television now. Oh, sorry. Shh, we have a star amongst us. He's very popular. He was wearing a hat on the show, the same hat we all know and love that he wears, to the point where one of my friends goes, which one is the guy that you know? And when I tried to describe which one it was, I go, Hat. And they go, oh, Hat, I like Hat. And I go, yeah, okay, good. So we'll get to him in a second. But a couple of quick reminders. Number one, if you get the opportunity, I would love for you guys to become a member of the Grappling Hour community. Raf, how do I do that? Very simple. $5 a month, you get to see these interviews 30 days before everybody else, which means you don't have to wait. You don't have to do an embargo time. You don't have to ask one of your friends who saw this interview what happened. You don't have to go on like an aggregate news site that just takes one little short blurb if we fuck up and say something controversial here, which could happen. I'm kind of mouthy sometimes, so who knows? But go do that. Or if you want to pay a few extra dollars more, you can see our premium access tier, in which you get to see a lot of new episodes that are made specifically for those users and only those users. Some things that we do are mini-sodes, meaning extra episodes available only there, tape studies, and we also do a new segment where people roast my competition footage. And I think that's a pretty fun segment for everybody but me, but if you're willing to pay, I'm willing to show it to you. So there is that. You can also like, subscribe, and comment on this very video and join our Discord, where you'll be the first to hear new shit on this channel. All right, it's time to interview our guest. And here's what I was saying to our guest a bit ago. You know, he and I go back now a little bit, and I feel like he's a friend. I feel like he is somebody who I rooted for, and there was nobody I was happier to see make it on the most recent Ultimate Fighter series. And he was one of the 16 gentlemen picked for that. And I have to tell you, when you see your friends on that screen, you get very excited for him. And, you know, you always wonder what the fight's going to be like. And my man had a dog of a fight. But that's nothing that you would expect from somebody who has an 11-2 record. He's one of the nicest gentlemen in all of fighting that I have ever met. He's a good guy, and I wanted to hear about his experience in the Tough House. So I'm going to say this because I wouldn't normally do this joke to anybody else, but I'm going to ask you, Aaron McKenzie, how much cocaine may or may not have been on set around Conor?
So I didn't see any cocaine, but every week the proper bottles multiplied. There was another 100 bottles in the house every single week, and they just kept stacking and stacking and stacking. It was crazy.
Because, okay, to the rest of us, though, it's become so commonplace to do that joke. And, like, I want to say that I try to give people the benefit of the doubt, but I did recently put up a post that compared Conor McGregor on a cycle, and he has that Britney Spears Joker smile. And I'm like, oh shit, we should put him under a conservatorship. Like, I'm not usually pro that, but unfree Connor is the hashtag I want to start using. So I had to get somebody on set to tell me that. Okay, good. What was it like? Because you got selected by Connor on his team. What was it like to be on that team? Because it seemed like a very hectic ship to be a part of, sir.
Honestly, it was nice. I loved all his coaches. He was a super nice dude in person. Everybody he brought was high level. I couldn't complain about them even one little bit. I loved Roddy. I loved Sergey, the wrestling coach. Kian was awesome. Boxing coach Phil was great. Uh, oh my goodness, can't think of his name right now. But Kavanaugh was amazing. Loved all those guys. Tristan, the nutritionist, absolutely killed it. He was so on par with the stuff that I already do for my weight cuts, and just a little bit of extra help that he had with the nutrition stuff was amazing. And the recovery stuff he did was as good as it possibly gets. So, like, just seeing that level of people behind Connor and the work ethic that I know he has, like, absolutely makes sense why he was at the highest level. So.
I think it was a very interesting season for those of us watching from the sidelines because there was so much hype that, all right, Chandler, Connor, will they, won't they, if you would. And to a lot of us, there was intrigue because I thought, oh, this is an investment in the Ultimate Fighter season. And I said, okay, that's a good thing. And then it just felt like the attention was so much on them that I didn't necessarily hear a ton about the fighters. So it became a little bit of an odd sort of like sleight of hand distraction. But the other narrative that came of this season, and I noticed that you were talking to people online about it, was people had the audacity to say that you guys, the prospects, if you would, were bums. Look at these guys. They have no business to call themselves fighters. And it baffled me because we started our origins at Verbal Tap doing jokes about fighters, but we made them very clearly jokes that weren't saying like you suck as a human being. It was a very different circumstance when I saw people saying shit, but tagging you like, hey, what do you have to say about being such a bum?
Yeah, it definitely baffles me as well. Because obviously, like you said, I have 11-2 record. I've only lost decisions and split decisions to really high level guys. And even some of those could be controversial if you look back at them. But as soon as I would say something to these people, they would be like, "Oh, well, not you. I'm talking about everybody." But those people earned their shots as well. Every single person on that show had a good record. Everybody was there for a reason, and they mentioned that we were older. And like part of the reason some of us were older is because they couldn't just throw the 4-0 prospect, the new 4-0 prospect, out against some of these guys that have been in the UFC with 7-8 UFC fights. That's the easiest way to get somebody killed. And obviously, a lot of us didn't have the best fights as well, but like they were trying to match it as fair as possible. And when you've got guys that are 11-2 that might be a little older, or like 15-5 that are a little bit older, that's the guy that's going to match up with a guy that has been in and out of the UFC. It's not going to be the 4-0 22-year-old, unfortunately for them. Maybe in a couple of years they'll be there, and maybe they'll keep beating each other up on Contender Series. You never know. But there was definitely a reason for each and every one of us to be on that show, and we earned it. And I believe most of us earned another shot, a shot to have an actual fight. 2 rounds doesn't, 2 rounds isn't it's not a fight. You're used to 3 5s all the time. So that's what you should get. I hate the exhibition 2 5s because I'm a guy that builds. I get stronger as fights go, and I would have loved a third round. That's who I am. I would have taken 5 rounds if I could.
And okay, this is a part that baffled me because I realized how many seasons I've ingested over the years, but Connor looked like it was the first time he had ever been aware that there were 3 rounds. Nope, just kidding. 2, and that the third happens if we need it. And I couldn't help but think this. It was like, one, how'd you not know this? Didn't he do this before? And two, I thought it was a very standard thing. So when I saw you commenting about it, I said, That's kind of fair, and I do get it. I do also get the way to keep it an exhibition so that doesn't necessarily go against your record, because that seems kind of weird. Like, especially in that fast of a turnaround. So I think this is the way they can justify saying, hey, listen, you fought a week ago. We're circling back because once we get to the semis, this machine's got to go on, and we can't keep you here forever. So we kind of have to do this to make sure you guys stay safe.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it does make sense. And it's tough. Like we got there, we finally got in the house Thursday. We didn't get to train till Friday. And we got there, we trained, and then we were fighting 6 days later, you know? So it definitely is not an ideal situation. You basically get one decent training session and then you're already in weight cut mode. So it is not a normal situation for a fight at all, and it's definitely a TV show first, and you kind of figure that out as you go, which is fine. But it sucks that the fight is almost an afterthought to the point where some of the things they do are just a little bit detrimental to actually fighting, and then you try and go put on the best performance you possibly can on the biggest stage of your life so far, and you've got these things in the back of your head that, like, maybe I didn't get to prepare to my best ability because of just things that are outside of your control. So it's definitely a different situation to be in, but I wouldn't change it for the world, other than maybe I would have liked to win.
Sure. And I mean, I'm glad that these assholes that were talking online had the good faith to at least see your fight before commenting to you, because while you didn't win, you were really fucking tough in this fight. So even when I'm looking to try and like have something fun to say about it and give you a little shit about it, I was just like, here's the nicest part about what I felt was that I go, you know what? People are going to look at my friend and have a respect for him, because so many other people would have quit in that situation. So many people would, when getting pushed like that, they don't have that reserve in their tank to keep going. And I was like, dude, you're right. And the worst thing I do know about you that you mentioned is that you're like, yeah, I'm a little bit of a slow starter sometimes. Sometimes I build up my steam and I go, Jesus Christ. If you had built up steam after all of this, I think all of us would have to look up resurrections and probably get a little more religious in our time and space. I have to ask this because you mentioned that you realized that it was a little bit more of a TV experience. And I've asked the Connor questions, but I haven't gotten to ask the Dana question. At any point, did you ever hear his talking head? Because I feel like his talking heads could be 5 doors down and you could probably still hear them at the Apex Center, because there were several times this season that I think his hearings, it's going a little bit, because now whenever they do his talking heads, it's getting a little bit fucking louder now. This is a really fucking good fight. And I go, hey, Dan, can somebody lower his volume? Like, we can normalize this. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have to be up here. Everybody else is talking at this, like, yeah, man, I'm really excited about my fight. I got a lot of things in my life that I'm like really thankful for. This fight's gonna be fucking great. And I go, Jesus, I need to pay whoever's editing this like another 20 grand just to level out the sound.
Yeah, no, so never heard anything like that. But the very first day when they finally took us in, after we had been sitting in the van for probably an hour, I think, waiting for Connor, Dana, whoever, waiting for somebody to show up. But we were just sitting in the van, waiting for about an hour, getting mic'd up and figuring out stuff. Once we got in there, and they made us walk in 3 or 4 different times until we got a good walk in. Uh, we we were standing there in line waiting, and we could hear Dana and Connor backstage joking, talking around. So that was when it kind of finally felt real. We'd been in the hotel for 11 days trying to figure out who was going to get sent home, who was going to make it. And then we finally get there and we hear Dana and Connor talking behind the big Apex doors. And that was when I think a lot of us really understood, like, okay, we did get selected. We're finally here. This is going to happen.
That is good. So I am glad about that. The Apex Center was almost a 16th, or I'm sorry, 17th character in the show. So that was actually very good to see. So I was very happy for you guys to get, I'm feeling in my head, it was kind of like a second home where you go like, all right, we're here and here. So
That was it.
it was, those were the two places that you really got to go. You maybe went to a steakhouse, et cetera, et cetera. And I'll get to these things in a second, but it was so condensed that yes, even your coach's challenge got moved to the Apex Center. And I get it. This is all production logistics. When you're telling me that you had to walk in several times, as somebody who works in TV, I go, yeah, it sounds about right. Yeah, you're lucky you got off on 4, because I've definitely told some people to redo something that's as mundane as like picking up a burger and being like, pick it up like a normal person. Don't like start getting self-conscious. Fucking eat the burger. Don't be weird. So I know that. I want to get into the how you found out you were going to be on the show element, because you were in this process of telling people. I remember you were kind of saying like, hey, something big's coming. And I had this good feeling, and I was like, I think good. He's in one of those weight classes. All right, let's see what happens to my boy. And then when they put out the thing, I think it was also Lovato that was teasing it, and that was the one that was starting to confirm it for me, where I was like, Lovato's in sales mode. I think Aaron got on the show, and I can't prove it, and I'm not going to message him, but I'll just wait until I find out for sure.
Yeah, so it was absolutely crazy. So I don't know if you remember, but there was a UFC pay-per-view, I think like the first week of December, and they leaked, well, I guess they didn't leak, but they had a graphic saying that there would be Ultimate Fighter tryouts that week. And so as soon as I saw that graphic, like my coach sent it to me, and I hit up whoever I could just to get to Vegas that week. I was working my way out there. Um, got out there. We still didn't know anything. Nobody knew where it was going to be, what was going to happen. And so I just flew out on a whim, just trying to be in that tryout no matter what. And I got off the plane, and my manager had texted me, and he's like, it's a virtual tryout. There's not an actual tryout. So when I got there, finally got off the flight, I just turned it into a super sick training week. I spent a few days at Syndicate, went to a few other places, spent some time with Kendall Grove High Rollers, went out to Pinto Muay Thai. I just got some really awesome training rounds. One of my sponsors that actually helped me get out there. They were out there for the national finals rodeo, so they got me a seat to the rodeo. I live in Oklahoma. It was my first rodeo ever, so it was super cool. So had a really awesome trip, even though there was no tryout for me. So then we just kept going on about our business. I went back home, got back into it, and then tried to figure out whatever we could, and nothing ever came out. Like I was checking Twitter every day, just trying to see what kind of information there was, and nothing ever came out. And then one day, late December, I think I was running on my elliptical. I had just got on my elliptical. It was like midnight, and I got a message from a lady saying that she was one of the associate producers, and they wanted to get me in for an interview on Tuesday. Can I fill out an application? And as soon as I saw it, I was kind of shocked. I was like, "Oh, it's midnight." First off, and I sent it to like both my coaches, my manager. I was like, "Yo, is this legit? Does this person look real?" Um, because if you want to steal my info, that was the way to do it at that point. Like I was going to send whatever. I didn't care. And like my coach and manager were both like, "Yeah, it looks right." And so she'd name dropped Joey Varner. I looked him up and talked to my buddy who had been on the show. Joey'd been around the show forever, and was a good dude. So I was like, all right, I'm in. So I messaged her a little bit more that night, got some more details out of it, and ended up having my interview that Tuesday. Um, Everything seemed good. The interview seemed like it went really well. And like one of the last questions was like, "Are you okay with leaving your family and friends for like 6 weeks?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, I'll do whatever it takes." Same attitude I've had for the whole time. Is I'll do whatever it takes. And I've heard everything I needed to hear, and it sounded like they all sounded like they were really receptive, and they all sounded happy about it. Um, and then a couple weeks went by again, and nobody ever told me, like they never said, "Hey, you're on the show." It was we need you to go do drug tests. We're going to send you some flight information here in a couple weeks. We got to do the drug test first just to make sure, because those take longer. And so we did the drug test, and then we were supposed to fly out this date. Then it got pushed back another week. So I had done my last hard week of training, and then all of a sudden we're pushed back another week. So now I got to kind of just go through the motions for a week until we get out there. Then we get out there, it's supposed to be a potential 1 week in a hotel, and then you go into the house after medicals and stuff. So we're in the hotel, a week goes by, and they're like, hey, we're pushed back another 3, 4, 5 days. So then it gets to be like 11 or 12 days in the hotel, and now we can't go anywhere. We're literally locked in our hotel room. We don't even have a key. If we want to go run or go to the gym in the hotel room, we have to have somebody come get us and take us down and then take us back up. So it was definitely it was an experience, to say the least. But then I think 2 days before we're finally supposed to find something out, they give some of us bags of gear, and so you're like, okay, I got a bag, I'm in, and like nobody ever said anything still. And then the next morning, it's like, all right, well, you guys are going at 7. We're taking all your stuff. This next, like they said, we're gonna come take all your stuff like Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. We'll take your phone, we'll take all your things you can't have, and then we'll come get you at 7. Well, then they push that back again, and so now you're like, did they do this and they left me? I don't know. Did they not pick me? Am I not going? Am I an alternate? Because the whole time we were in the hotel, there was way more than 16 people. So we had no clue how many people were actually going to be in. We had no clue who was going to be in, anything like that. And you're not really allowed to talk to anybody. You just have to see them in passing, and you count, and you're like, okay, there's 17 55ers here. Not everybody's going to be in the show. And so there ended up being a few people that got gear bags that didn't make it for whatever reason or another. And they finally called us about 12 to come down and load up in the vans and bring all our, actually, they didn't even have us bring our stuff. They went and got all our stuff out of the room. So up until we got to the Apex, it still felt like I had no clue. Like, that was the craziest part. And there were people that went home that day. Like, a lot of people went home that day. And from what I heard, they offered some of the alternates a hotel to stay just in case anybody didn't make a fight or anybody couldn't fight or anything like that. So it was a nail biting experience, to say the least. And that moment where I finally heard Dana and Connor talking, that was when I finally realized, like, okay, I got picked. And so that took a lot.
Here's the good news. We're not in a dystopia, but it feels like you got the very logistical part of the Hunger Games experience. So, this was you being like, am I chosen? Is it a good thing? Is this the good bag or the bad bag? Because I don't know which one this was marked. Because, all we see is the condensed, oh, you're magically there and on the show. So in terms of TV, none of that makes it to air. None of this is ever discussed. It's just like, hey, here are these fucking guys. Let's see them fight. And then you just go like, all right, let's learn some personalities. And that's fine. I'm good with that on TV time. I just knew that there is a little bit of a shock and awe from the guys, so that they use that, I'm sure, to capture the real version of your reactions and to try and get that. I do want to kind of jump the timeline, because what I'm looking at now is the fact that when I saw your episode, I had a moment where I stopped and I go, of course this guy fucking did this. So I'll tell you what you did, but I want to ask a question first, which was, it looked like instead of sending teams to record you guys, they handed you some like phones or had you provide some kind of footage to them. So what was the directive on that? Because was it just kind of like, hey, do me a solid, film the exact moment when you talk to your lady, film the exact moment when you're about to leave the house? And I think you were on a treadmill as well, or on a elliptical of some sort. But all those things kind of ran through my head but you were the one shooting it. And I just said, that's actually a pretty smart, cost-effective way of doing this.
So basically, what they did was they sent a lot of us out small gimbal camera, and I mean, it was a really nice camera too. It took me a day or two to finally figure out how to make it all work. But they sent out cameras to a lot of us. I think there were a few guys who ended up with phones and stuff. Like I think Lee probably had a phone because they didn't want to ship one all the way to Ireland. But so they basically they sent it, and the direction was film everything, film training stuff, film film goodbye was the biggest one. Film goodbye, film your family, film your friends, film everything you do in day to day life. And then going along with the filming, it was get a release form for every single person that's in these videos. Get a release for every logo that's in the video. Get a release for every place you go. So then you've got just a huge folder of paperwork that you have to bring back. And then as soon as we landed there and we checked in, it was all right. We're going through your video to make sure that we have every release that we need. So that was the directive on the cameras. And
Don't worry, you're speaking my language. This might be not interesting to 1,000 people, but to anybody who works TV, this sounds like, yep, and you got to do that. And you better not film this, and you better not have songs, and you better make sure that you keep that TV pointed a certain way where there's a glare. But here's the reason why I asked this, not for the logistics, just to set up this question, which was, so I'm watching your package, and then I immediately see that there's an emphasis on your animals. And I go, of course he has his dog. Like, so when I was describing to some of my friends, they're like, which one? I was like, well, of course my friend's going to have a moment where he's like, well, I got to leave my animals. And I go, oh God. So I went from like, yeah, I know this guy to like, yeah, of course he would. Yep. The dude who loves dogs is immediately being like, and here's my story. Dogs.
everybody else has 6 kids running around, Zayden, Raiden, Braden, Dayton. I got 2 pugs and 2 cats.
And so the worst part is when you did that, I pulled my wife in, and I've told her about, we've done interviews in the past, and I go, well, we know him. And she goes, oh, okay. And she's kind of like, she's done her time with The Ultimate Fighter. Like, she has served many tours of seasons of The Ultimate Fighter. So I don't subject her to too much of it. But if something's really good, I go, hey, come in here. And so she goes, what am I looking at? And I go, we know this guy. And she goes, oh, his puppies. Oh, I would make you do that too. And I go, I would probably want to do it. And she goes, yeah. Oh, I like him. And I was just like, yeah. All right. So it was a very quick way to win over the female demo, whatever female demo we have in this sport. And maybe some bros too. But yeah, you're right. I just compared that to, I go, everybody had a kid. Everybody's like, having kids is tough. Leaving my wife and kids sucks. And you're like, look at this pug. I just thought, what a bold strategy, my friend. Yeah.
She's pissed. She's sleeping.
So I knew there would be a moment like that just because I know how much you have stopped and commented on my dogs when they're in my Instagram feed. And I like that the cat's just like, what am I? Nothing to you? Jesus, give me some shine.
That's Fernando.
That's for not, well, thank you. And I love the fact that your pets are so well trained that they know they're going to have to appear on camera. They're like, is this our part? I better get the fuck on here. Hey, camera on me. I don't come cheap. Oh, she went off when I snapped my finger. Okay, got it. Okay. So, all right. You get on the show, you get there. When they go open house to you, what is the strategy? What is the best strategy? Maybe you could even leave this to other people if you didn't do it yourself, to getting the room you want. Because from a game standpoint in my head, that's where everything begins to me. Like, if you want to get in somebody's head, you try to get the best room. If you want to get in somebody's head, you try to get a certain teammate or somebody that you're kind of okay with. So what was that strategy, or what would you suggest to people in terms of selection? Because this is a very pivotal moment in the show, sir.
Yeah, so it is absolutely. And I'd been planning. And so my roommate was Carlos Vera. Uh, and so we had kind of got to know each other a little bit through medicals. We were always in the same medical van, and we always worked together. And we got a lot of talking to that way. We knew we both loved jujitsu, big jujitsu background guys. So during one of our med trips, I was like, "Yo, Carlos, you want to room up?" And he's like, "Absolutely, right." Um, and so then while we were in the van waiting for one of the things we had to wait for that day, either to go back to the house or to go into the Apex for the first time, we were talking to one of the producers who had also worked on the Slap Show because this was the same house as the Slap Show. And we got a little information on the house. She said the rooms downstairs are quieter, but the rooms upstairs have bathrooms. So there was no bathrooms at all downstairs. So I knew immediately I wanted to be upstairs and I wanted to be in the smallest room possible, as far away from the kitchen as possible. Uh, like preferably one with two beds and no bunk beds. That was my goal. No bunk beds, minimal people as possible. So I was out of the van first. I got in the house first, turned into the left on the first room. I see it's two beds. I see there's a bathroom attached. I slammed my bed or my bag on the bed. I was done immediately. It was that easy. Didn't care about the rest of the house. I knew I was on the floor with the bathroom. I knew I had a good room by the door. Nobody was going to leave without me. And I didn't have five roommates. So I was set. And Carlos had been in the van waiting so long, he had to pee really bad. So he was immediately going towards the bathroom. He didn't even care. He was just like, "You got this. You're good. Pick it. Whatever. I don't care." But so Lee Hammond came in the room. He was like, "Yo, do you need a roommate?" And I was like, "Man, that's all Carlos bed. I'm sorry, bro." So it's tough for Lee. Would have been nice until I actually found out later he threw up all over his bed one night. So I'm not too mad that I missed out on that. But
Good to know. All right. This is why we bring you on. This inside intel. This is the shit you don't find out on other interview shows. So I'm glad that we're getting the real deep cuts here. I will get to other questions later, but was Carlos the person who you were closest to, or did you find yourself getting closer to anybody? Because that is pretty cool. Like I know that life of, oh, if you're cool and we're always around each other, let's try to like get through this weird shit together. Like you form that bond very quickly. But I also know that this is a 6-week process and there's ups and downs. And you could also find yourself going like, oh, I didn't know I would actually like get along with this person, but this person was actually kind of cool.
yeah, no. So it's I was cool with Carlos all the way through. Never had any of those moments where I was like, "Man, I hate this son of a bitch now. I don't want to be with." Like now, me and Carlos stayed cool. He did weird shit, but like it wasn't anything that ever bothered me. Bro would just start meowing at people. And so we made tons of fun of him after that for meowing at people. I think he was freaking out a bunch of people because the first week or two he would be meowing and nobody would know what the hell's going on. And then we finally caught him doing it. But I ended up actually growing really close with Nate Jerman. He was my boy. Like we ended up on the same schedule. Me, him, and Jason Knight. We were always up super late, just chilling. We play cards and writing our journals and shit together. But I was a little older, so I kind of ended up hanging out with the veteran guys a lot just because they were closer to my age. We've been through a lot of the same stuff because, like, I'm from Oklahoma. I'm literally a state over from Kurt and one extra from Jason. So we got a lot of the same kind of background. And then Nate's from the middle of the United States as well. So like all of us were, the same kind of people. So we all just kind of meshed really well. And those guys are super cool. We're always playing cards, and that was really about all you could do was play cards and hang out. They finally got us a chessboard like halfway through, so that was another thing that we finally got to do. Um, but I spent a lot of time with Nate. Nate was a really good dude. I still talk to him a lot outside of the show.
That's kind of cool because it's not the primary objective, but I do find that from other people we've talked to over the years, there are some weird bonds that come out of this that you don't expect. And you sometimes you see it on the show, but most of the times, you know, anything that's not drama is the first thing to get cut. So anybody who works TV knows like, friendship cut. Like It's the first thing on the chopping block. You want the goods, and not every scene is going to be this palming of someone's face and someone going Yahoo afterwards. And then it's not even the contestants, it's the two coaches. And you go, well, that'll get traction, but it's not you going up to one of the dudes and like face palming them or putting your hat over their face, which by the way, you should have done. Like so many other options. But yeah, I always have that sense of, yeah, dude, sometimes we just don't see how normal some of this process is, because from my interpretation, the majority of it is usually very strict training regimens. And as you mentioned, if after 6 days you are fighting, that is not a long time to form a bond with a coaching crew, with a unique style. Like they may just barely have a relationship with you in one way. But then to even get to those trust elements, that shit's got to happen day one, day two, to be able to say, like, yeah, I mean, you guys are good at your job, but you've got other people you're servicing at once, and you're also trying to coach my unique way of fighting. So when you have all those things and more, is that accurate? Was there so much more training that we just didn't get to see? And if so, what were more of the interesting aspects from that training regimen that you thought were actually pretty interesting?
Yeah, no, absolutely. There was a lot of training. I mean, obviously, that was what we did pretty much twice a day. We were up there, or our coaches actually sometimes in the evening, they would come to the house and we would do some kind of a row workout, or something like that. The row workout, I think, made it on the show. But so we got a lot more. That was what we did. Our training time was like 12 to 2 and supposed to be 6 to 8, but we ended up getting pushed back to 7 to 9 a lot. So that was what we ended up doing. And a few times that was kind of rough on us, just because we would get there almost, and then we would have to turn around and go back and then drive back. And it was a 30-minute drive each way.
Damn.
So one of the first nighttime practices we had, we got to the exit of the Apex, and they're like, "You guys, we got to go back. They're pushing practice back an hour. We're gonna have to go back to the house and come back." We're like, "Well, why can't we just go there and stay?" And they're like, "No camera crews, no, you can't do it." So we ended up just having to spend another hour in the van, 10 minutes in the house, and then we were driving back. So that was where you first start to realize, okay, this is TV first. This is, they don't really care. The TV part is the most important part. But a lot of the training was great, and I actually picked up some stuff from Kavanaugh in that first week that I used in my fight. Um, and it was one of the things he showed about breaking the body lock grip, where you put your head in the cage. They mentioned Volkanovski did it in the fight with Makhachev and a couple of other fights, and so that was one of the things that I actually picked up and I really liked and I used in my fight. Um, but the training, in a sense, it's not like your normal training camp. It's not like your normal fight camp training. You're very limited on what you can do. Like, because you got three sets of fights in a 5 week period. So you can barely go hard. You're usually drilling on a half live body. And the times you actually got to go live was that very first training day that they showed of us kind of sparring, and it was 3 3-minute sparring rounds and then 3 3-minute grappling rounds, and that was the day of training. Like, that was it. Um, it it wasn't enough work for me. It wasn't enough work for a couple of the guys. Some of the guys loved it, but we trained for a long time, and we trained pretty hard where I'm from. And so, unfortunately, by the time I got to fight, it had been almost 4 weeks since I had actually trained hard. And so, like, that absolutely affected me, and I hated it. And I hate that I have to say it affected me, because it 100% did. I wasn't confident in my grappling takedowns. I wasn't confident in some of my exchanges. Just small things like that can be a huge difference when you're fighting an 8-fight UFC vet. And like, I know he was going through a lot of the same stuff, and but Chandler's team got to go a little harder than ours, and you could see it in the training, and they talked about it. But so one thing that I think rubbed a lot of us the wrong way was we trained that second day that they take. So the first day we go to the Apex, they do the team picks, and then they sent us to the house to pick rooms and stuff. And then we went back the next day for our first training day. Then the day after that was Saturday, and because there was an Apex card, we didn't get to train. So we had already gone from not getting to train for 2 weeks in a hotel till we get 20 minutes of work to we're not getting to train the next day already. So a lot of our boys, like our team, this was actually a really big bonding moment for our team was like we pulled a mat out back and we just trained. We rolled. We all got some rolling rounds. A couple of them did some light stand-up rounds. But like that was a big moment for a lot of us. And it was one of the best training sessions we had the whole time we were there. It was just us boys in the backyard getting after it.
I think we did see a clip or two of it, and it didn't have any context to it that I remember, and I might be wrong here, but it just felt like the equivalent of breaking out cardboard and breakdancing. Like there was just a mat there, and you guys just happened to be doing some stuff. So that does fill in some context on that. And I get what you're saying because you're not saying is it's an excuse. It's just something that you're not used to doing. And then from my perspective, if I were a fighter, I get grumpy if I'm competing and I haven't done training for 2 days straight. Like, let's say I have a hard session planned and then somebody cancels on me. Well, then that affects my weight cut. Then that affects my preparedness. And it's not like you can take it out on somebody and be like, well, fuck that guy. Oh, something came up. Something happens. Things happen like that. You have to be an adult about that. But then it's your responsibility to find it. And what you're saying is if you have regimented times and maybe you're hearing rumors that they're going hard and you're like, damn, I wish we could too. Or, I prefer to actually be doing this much at this time and this much at this time. That psychologically does create a very different mentality. And if there is one thing that I have noticed about you, Lovato, your team, that mentality is a big part of your bread and butter. Like it is usually when you guys have your time and you're all set, you guys are stoic masters. Like you guys are just in it and you're very focused. So any disruption of that, yeah, absolutely. It's very different. And I would be pretty pissed if they were changing my times because of this reason. I would assume that with the teams, it builds a little bit of anxiety of you don't know how much work you're going to get in. So, having said all of that, I would like to know, were you guys trying to pump the Chandler team for what they were doing? Or were you very curious? Because if you do have those rumors, I'm sure they don't want to give it up. But I wondered if you guys had started formulating oh, that sounds cool. What'd you guys work on today? Sort of approach. Or, oh, you guys don't want to tell us what you guys were working on? Why? You can just tell us. Because I get that sense from that competitive build between the two teams.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so Carlos had a relationship with Kurt from a long time ago as well because they were both in Louisiana. So Carlos and Kurt were really close, and Carlo would ask Kurt what they did, and like a lot of times they would tell you. You never know if they're always being honest, but they would tell you some stuff, and like you could tell they were coming home tired, and you're like, okay, I bet they did do that circuit today, or I bet they did get some good sparring and stuff in today. And so, like, just hearing what they were doing from them compared to what we knew we were doing, and they knew what we were doing because Carlos was going to complain about it. Carlos, for a couple of weeks straight, he was absolutely livid with how little we were training and how not hard it was. Because he probably trains even more and harder than we do up there at 50-50. He said they train up until after midnight and stuff sometimes, and y'all are crazy. That's I get it, but you're doing a lot. So he was very vocal and very adamant about we were not doing enough.
Okay. Here's a question though. Given all of that, was there ever a moment that you wanted to switch teams? Because there was so much made about them completely having prospects on one side and vets on another side. And a lot of the casual viewers were watching it and saying, like, that shouldn't happen. They should have mixed up the teams. And so I wondered if that influenced part of a, maybe it's not that I even want to switch teams or any thing to that. It's just that this particular thing already made it weird, making it go in this format. And then seeing like Chandler, who looked like a good coach and looked invested in the guys, it did seem like at one point you kind of saw some of the guys getting uneasy. And especially when the losses build up, you start to wonder, damn, did anybody want to jump ship at any time?
Yeah, so I agree very much that they should have probably just done individual picks. And you get one guy picks a blue, one guy gets a red, something like that. I think that would have probably made for a lot more even fights, a lot more even teams. Um, Unfortunately, they did it the way they did. Um, I don't know if any of us really wanted to jump ship. Like we were all pretty happy with the level of knowledge and the things we were getting. Um, I would have liked to have trained with the other guys. I think that would have been cool. But I didn't want to go and be like, yo, I want to switch, anything like that. I just would have liked the experience of getting to do both, just to see how everything was run different. Like that was about as far as that went because we were all pretty loyal to the team and to the other guys on the team.
I think that probably comes from you guys getting forged together. And I'm pretty sure at a certain point, when they group you all as these new prospects, there probably was a moment where you just go like, all right, this is the cards that we got dealt. Let's make the best of it. Let's pull our resources together. And, you did mention the great training that you did get as a result of being on that side and that team. So I think what gets lost is, yes, it wasn't exactly the world's best record, but there's a lot of invaluable stuff that I know you guys learn that then you take in your careers and that you can go into other fights with. And that part I always look forward to because I tell people, I'm like, every season that we've ever interviewed people with the Ultimate Fighter, we've told people, watch what they do next. Because there's something about getting a crash course. It's almost like summer school where you get all of this knowledge and maybe you can't make use of it at that time, or something comes up, or maybe you got matched really well, or maybe it just wasn't your day. We saw even in the one of the semifinals, homeboy slipped, and you know, I could feel for him in that way. From a TV standpoint, hearing somebody be like, "But I slipped," is like, damn, dude, I want to laugh at it, but if anybody's ever competed in something, you've had a moment where you did something like that and the other person got the advantage and maybe you came back from it. Maybe something good happened to you, but it is really tough to come back from those kind of moments. And when you have good athletes who are right on top of you, they make it very difficult to do those sort of moments. So, yeah, I would say it is good to know that. I would like to get into your fight now, though, sir. So, when this fight gets proposed, you're usually pretty great on your weight cut, so I'm not worried about that. Um, what did it feel like going into that fight? Because to me, I think everything changes being in the Apex Center. I think everything changes having this new team, getting used to this new corner. And then I think everything changes when it's marketed, at least on this show, is like, well, he's an LFA title holder. He is too. Boom. Let's just do that. And you think to yourself, yeah, okay. And it was a tough fucking fight. So tell us a little bit about that from your perspective.
Yeah, so honestly, like you said, I'm always great on weight cut, but this one was the best one I've ever had, partially because I spent 11 days in a hotel where all I could do was run. So I was running twice a day. I ran twice a day, and then on that Saturday before the fight, after that training session, I ended up in the hot tub just chilling with the boys, and I accidentally cut to 59. So like 5 days out, 4 days out, I was already accidentally 59. So I went and had a huge ribeye, had a huge peanut butter and jelly. Landon was laughing at me because he was making fun of my. He's like, "How are you eating peanut butter and jelly 4 days before?" I was like, "Bro, get shit together. You can figure it out." But it was awesome. Big peanut. It made you feel better. Everything was good. But so getting the weight cut done, like it was easy. I only had to cut 3 pounds the day of weigh-ins, and I went into the sauna for 10 minutes and hot tub for 30, and I was done. Like that was it. After that, the refuel me the fuel up meals that they gave us were top notch, great carbs, good protein in them. Tristan and the chef did a really good job with that. But then going into the fight, honestly, I felt great. I felt prepared. My weight was good. I was back up to 77. And I just treated it like it was every other fight. Once I got in there, I did everything I normally do, relax, stay calm, in the cage, just chilling. And then I think when it finally dawned on me, like, okay, actually, right before the fight was when it kind of dawned on me, okay, these aren't my guys. Because a lot of people don't know, but we do multiple fights on the same day, and Chandler and a lot of people have let that out now. So like, it's not a big secret that I'm spilling right here. But the fight before mine, all of the coaches left. I was in the back room with just me and the commissioner, just back there, just chilling. And so that was probably one of the weirdest moments of my entire career, was just being backstage by myself with nothing but a commissioner in my thoughts, just hanging out, not actually getting to do anything, warming up. I can't watch the fight, can't do anything but just chill. So that was a little weird. But then we walk out and everything's good, give out the hugs and get into the fight. And then I realized early on that it was going to be really tough to get the takedown. I landed a couple good kicks, landed a couple punches, and ended up in on the grappling early, which was what they wanted from me. They wanted me to go for the grappling. They thought I'd be able to control against the cage. And in 2-round fights, it's easy to win a fight by burning up time against the cage or getting them to the mat and holding them down. So that was kind of where they wanted me to be. Was they wanted me to go ahead and grapple against the cage, and they wanted me to do that. But then, unfortunately, I couldn't really make him out in the corner. And I love Sergey, the wrestling coach, to death. Absolutely thought he was top notch. Just great coach, great technique. But he was so soft spoken in the corner. I don't think I heard anything he said in the corner at all. And I don't know if it's because he was deferring to Owen, or maybe he was just deferring to Connor, but I just couldn't hear him. And I wish I could have. I wish I could have heard any of the things he was trying to tell me to do. Every once in a while, I'd pick out Connor saying something. I'd pick out like Lee Hammond saying something, or somebody from the other team, but I could never really focus in on my coaches, which is something that Raphael and Steven are amazing at. They've got really big voices. They have really clear instructions, and they know how I like my information. They give clear, concise, executable techniques in the moment. And so that's one of the reasons I love those guys so much, is because they're very good at that and giving instructions in real time. And it's never get up. Like that doesn't help anybody. And the coaches that do that, like, you're not helping anybody. Figure it out. So that was one thing that kind of killed me. But I was sticking to the game plan. I was landing shots from the outside. I was avoiding a lot of his shots, and the ones that were hitting me at first, they weren't that big a deal. And then we finally circle off. I actually had some really good spots. I'm so mad I didn't get that lift takedown. But then we circle off. We get back to center. I land a couple, circle again. And he threw a little bit longer combo where he caught me with that uppercut. And my knees, I got a little wobbly, did a little dip, backed up, looked up at the lights, and I saw the close ones were good, but the far ones were kind of blurry. So that was my shot. I was like, all right, well, maybe you should shoot again. So I try and shoot as he's pressing forward, and I guess he lands a knee and grabs the cage and reverses me. That cage grab really hurt a lot worse than I knew at the time. I didn't even know it happened in the fight, but when I saw it back later, and I actually saw Mark yelled at him for it, but yelling at him isn't going to give me my position back, unfortunately. So that cage grab really helped him turn and leverage back into me. And then he got on top and he landed a couple of shots. Mark told me to move, and when I moved is when he cut me with the elbow. And then at that point, the round is pretty much done. Unfortunately, I feel like I won probably the first 3.5 minutes of the fight, and then that last minute he absolutely won. So that was a little bit more clear and concise win for him at the end. So it's definitely his round. And so I could get up, get back to the corner. And they're like, all right, get back to the clinch, try and get the takedown, get the takedown, get the takedown. And that's another area where they differ from my coaches. Like my striking coach was like, I absolutely would have told you to keep striking. You were landing your shots from the outside. You're eating the leg up. I would have preferred you to stay on the outside and keep moving. He landed a good uppercut. It happens. He didn't knock you out, didn't kill you. Just stay on the outside, keep landing your shots is what my striking coach told me he would have preferred. But he thought maybe they got a little worried because of the uppercut. And they wanted me to try and get back into the clinch. But I knew I had to come out and get that round back. So I came out hard on the striking. And I was landing some good shots, good leg kicks, good right hands. I was sitting down on some punches, landing some good stuff where, again, I felt like I was winning the first minute and a half of the fight. And then I ended up just on a really good reactive shot where I had position again. He reversed, I think, off of Kimura. And was able to actually get me down that time. Landed just really one big elbow from that one before I got back up. And then again, he landed just a dummy brute takedown where I got out of position thinking about throwing an elbow. And I let myself get too sideways. He threw a big trip and put me down. And then I basically just couldn't get back up. He didn't do a whole lot more with position, landed some punches and stuff, but nothing that was super killer after that. It was just mostly hold control and throw shots to not get stood up. But the biggest thing that killed me in that is I'm so much better off of my back than I showed, and I'm better at getting up. But it was the slickest I had ever felt in a fight. Like I'm almost positive it's because they gave us massages the day before, like on weigh-in day. They had everybody line up. We got to do massages, which was cool in the moment. And then in the fight, when I can't get a grip and work anything without sliding, like I'm like, son of a bitch, the massage oils are definitely like, that's 100% what's going on right now. So like I dug my underhook, I had my coyote guard, my lace guard, and I would try and get the grip and it would just slide up. And so like it absolutely killed my confidence to see it back up. And I could have tried other stuff. I don't know why I didn't try other stuff, but everything felt so slick. I tried to hold on and stay as safe as I could and try and work stuff a different way. And I didn't think, okay, you got to do whatever you can to get up. That's not working. Let's go plan B, plan C. I was just so upset that plan A didn't work that I didn't try something else. And like, that's something I've been working my butt off ever since to never let happen again. Like there's got to be B, C, D. Like you got to keep going. And that was one thing that, I learned hard. And my A is so good at getting up. It didn't work. It didn't get me up. I bailed and I kind of panicked probably, but I still would have liked the third round, especially seeing what happened with him and Roosevelt in the third round. I would have liked that.
Yeah, I could understand that. And, I think Dana had feelings about that fight that he made pretty clear. So that was
Which didn't make any sense. It's absolute bullshit. I lost, but I definitely wasn't dominating.
Understood. Okay. Because I want to give you guys on Team Connor some credit. I understand you had great coaches. The format of the show is normally that the celebrity coach is the coach in the corner. So it is slightly jarring to see man in suit who is allowed to be cage side, who's not necessarily like lead coach, but he is. But why would you not use Kavanaugh? So like it's a very confusing mess. But the reason why I want to give you props is some things that Connor would yell out made sense to me, where I go, oh, okay, yeah, he kind of sees it a certain way. Like, you don't get to be a champ without having some kind of offbeat insight that maybe the average person doesn't understand fully, or that it makes perfect sense to you. It's just hard to communicate. Having said that, the other half of what he was telling you guys, or I'm sure when you're in the moment and fighting somebody, and if anybody's done any combat sport and tried to hone in on a voice and other noise is coming through, to me, when I heard Conor McGregor, sometimes it just sounded like you would hear things like, these things, you gotta get with the thing, and then you gotta hit them with the moolie wop. And then when you go with the moolie wop, then you come back and you come around and you go, huh? I don't know what that is. What did you make that up? And so to all of you guys who were able to keep a straight face as he said probably something amazing and then immediately followed by, I didn't follow a word of what that was, sir.
No, and I picked up some of the things he said, and like I was able to do some of the things he said in the striking realm, right? And he said like it landed and it was good.
Yeah.
And so that was some of the cool stuff that like definitely happened. Like I definitely heard him say, all right, I need right hand followed up with this. And like, so I was like, okay, I do that. I'm gonna do it. And I did it and it landed. And I was like, all right, cool. But I could only hear him half the time. But then also on the ground, he was actually saying like really good stuff. Like he was wanting me to come up on the single, and he was telling me below the butt, which I didn't know at the time. Later on, we went over that what he was saying, and he was telling me to use that latch that I like, but instead of going around the waist, go under the butt, which would have made it a lot less slippery. And it would have also made it a lot harder for Austin to get the overhook and keep me back down, because it's really hard to get that overhook all the way back there. It would have been more of a risk. And so, like, just knowing that after the fact would have been cool to know beforehand. Would have been cool maybe if I was a week 2 fight. But like that, it was nice to get that knowledge, and now I do have that for later. But he knows his shit like 100%. Man knows his shit, and his grappling is a lot better than people know it is. He kept Khabib off of him for the most part for a few rounds, and that's better than a lot of people can do.
Absolutely. And I like to tell people this when they're comparing, they're like, well, Chandler's a good coach and Connor, bad coach. All I could think of is I think that's the story the show is telling you. Like, editing is a very powerful tool. So it's got to have a narrative, a theme, or a perspective. If it doesn't, then you're just watching nothing. So there is a little bit of an editorial balance that happens on these shows. And I just started telling people, I was like, you know what? We don't know. And I go, because it's not the same situation on both sides, I think you just kind of have to take it for what it is. And at the same point, Connor does loan you guys a certain kind of celebrity of having more eyes and ears on it. So I get that. I know all the pros and cons. I still can't get over the absurdity of some of these things. One of which is, all right, fight's over. A little bit later, when they get around to, I think, the last episode, which, by the way, nothing funnier than the branding for the last episode where they just go like, and the coaches decide to spend some time with the guys. And I go, is that the best that we have here? Like, they're just like, and they decided they are human beings. Let's go see them. And I definitely have a lot of respect for Michael Chandler. He seems like an intense, amazing person on his own right. But he got the short end of the stick when it's like, well, he's going to come with crawfish and Connor's going to give you money. Yay. And I go, how the fuck can you compare that? Like, yeah, he's like, you guys want to have a beer? And meanwhile, Connor's like, have me money. Go out and spend this. And I go, yeah, that doesn't seem fair at all. Jesus.
Nah, it's all right. So that there's so much editing involved, right? And
Yeah.
you got the editing magic, and then it's a lot like headline magic where people will misquote you, right? I got misquoted in an interview, and shoot, Connor probably hates me now, unfortunately. I still love him to death, but I did get misquoted, and it ended up blowing up, especially over in Europe. I saw some of the headlines over there, and the only part of the quote said a lot. That was the quote that they took from me. And they said, Aaron McKenzie says Connor missed a lot of practices, which is not even remotely what I said. You would think that somebody who's been misquoted as many times as him would understand, maybe look into it, give me a call and find out about that. But he didn't. It's all good. We'll make up one day. On the other side there, with the editing, the Chandler guys got to go to Chandler's house the very first weekend and watch the UFC fights, where we were stuck in our house for like the first 4 weeks. We never went anywhere but the Apex and home. That was it. We finally, like 3 or 4 days before we left, was when we finally got to go to the steakhouse, and the money Connor gave us was the winnings the from the coaches challenge. So that was really cool that he did that. And unfortunately, because of the TV logistics and everything, like they didn't let us go play. We didn't have our IDs. They couldn't follow us around a casino anyway. So they're like, yo, in 3 days, you guys can take your chips back and you can go get them cashed out when you got your IDs, and we're sending you home. So that was kind of what happened with that. But I think our coaches might have come over a little bit more. And the crawfish thing was actually, it wasn't really, Chandler just came over that day. It ended up like Kurt and Jason had been talking about it for weeks and weeks. And they finally got him to get us all the stuff after one of the fights, and ended up being a really cool time for a lot of the guys in the house. We all went out. Most of us tried them, right? And it was just really cool experience getting to go and kind of do that with everybody in the middle of the competition. And for Chandler to show up and come by and see everybody was cool too. One cool thing that the Chandler guys got, he ended up getting them a lot of cool merch and stuff. He got him some sunglasses, got him some wrestling shoes, got him really nice gloves, things like that. So they were definitely getting their fair share of nice stuff. And actually, this week he's sending them out some really sick jackets, some Team Chandler jackets that look really cool. So like Chandler's definitely with his guys, he's behind his guys, and he's hooking them up any chance he can. So got a lot of respect for that and him and what he did. And he was actually very complimentary of me after my fight. Before the fight, we didn't say much. Obviously, he was the other coach. But then after the fight, we would always fist bump on the way in and out of practice. And after the fight, I went for our normal fist bump. And he stopped in front of me, and he shook my hand, held his hand out, shook my hand. He said, "You're a fucking warrior, bro. You're a fucking warrior," right? And like, really felt genuine, you know. And so that was just really cool of him to do. I didn't have to do that, but a couple of days later after the fight, he came up and made sure to make me feel good about myself, and it did.
That's pretty dope. I get this sense, and I saw it more than once or twice on the show, that you guys all speak a certain language of being fighters. So there is a very easy shorthand amongst you. And when your resumes are already good, you put in a good performance in that cage. There's a very, very high respect that's usually formed. And although it may not feel like your best moment, everybody in there sees what they see. So I have to ask, from your perspective, who had the best fight or the best fights at there? Because I know what it looked like on TV, and I thought a couple of them kind of stood out to me. But for you, having a front seat to a majority of them, or at least some of them, what were the fights that stuck out to you?
So watching, everybody likes to hype up Jason and Kurt, and I hated that fight. I've never had a fight physically hurt my feelings. And that one 100%, like I had a couple tears, well, because like those were both my friends at this point. We're at the end of like week 5. I'm close with both of these dudes, and every single right hand Kurt threw landed on Jason, and they landed hard. And so I was like, I never wanted a fight to end so bad in my life. And I was really happy that the ref stopped it when he did. Jason landed some shots. Please don't get me wrong. Jason 100%. He held himself up, and he held a very good account of himself. But Kurt was just
in some of those exchanges, I thought he was done and he was finding his way back in. And I was holding my breath. I know the result, but I was still like, oh my God. And I kept thinking, like, I would be okay if they stepped in. I know this dude's tough. I get it. It just made me feel uneasy. So I share what you're talking about here, man.
100% hurt my feelings. But like, I love them both, and it was a good fight. They definitely earned whatever bonus Dana gives them for it. But like, probably the best fight of the season for me outside of mine would have been Brad and Timmer, right? And at this point, I wasn't a big fan of Timmer. And like you say, there was a moment between Timmer and I that I thought would end up on the show because we got into it just a little bit. He was shit talking my buddy Mondo, trying to be playful, but he was talking shit about how, oh, Mondo, some of us have to get ready for another fight this week. We didn't all lose in the first round, stuff like that. And I was like, yo, fuck you. And he acted like he didn't hear it. And then he left and came back. And then he was like, Mondo, why you say this to me? Why did you say this? Why you say fuck you to me? I was like, Mondo didn't say it. I said it. And he still kept talking to Mondo. And I was like, I'm the one that said fuck you. It was me, not him. And then he finally turned to me and he was like, why did you say this to me? I am joking with Mondo. And I was like, no, you were joking. That's not a funny joke. It's bullshit. You're being a fucking asshole. And so like I was sure that was going to get in there, but I was not happy. I don't talk about my friends like that. I don't care if you're joking or not. And Cody was like, yo, I don't mess with dudes from Dagestan. I was like, I don't give a fuck about Dagestan. I'm from Oklahoma. I don't care where you're from. But so that was one thing there. But like that, the Timmer and Brad fight, like a lot of people don't know that the Cody and Brad argument that they showed in that last episode, it happened on the day Brad fought Timmer. And so I feel like Brad was trying to go out there and prove a point, and he was throwing some hands. Some people thought Timmer might have won the fight. Timmer could have won the fight. You never know. But he didn't get the decision, unfortunately for him. But Brad came out throwing very heavy hands, and it didn't seem like he was trying to go be a boring wrestle grappler at all. He was trying to kill Timmer a little bit. And so that was probably one of the better fights for me.
I would agree. I definitely thought they had some good ammunition in the chamber for the end of the season because I will tell you, I think people kind of went in and out of part of the season in terms of ratings for what I saw, but I thought the series closed well on those fights because I go, man, you could see, especially on the journey you guys have been through at that point, emotions are always high, it's intense, but the fights paid off, and I thought, man, it really did come together for those moments that I felt like, yeah, I don't love the nonsense. I don't love the drama bullshit. I get it. I work in TV. I know it's a thing you have to do. I just always go, get me to the fights. And I think that's part of the reason why Dana White's Contender Series is such appealing television to so many of the fans, because they go, no bullshit. Just give me the fight.
Well, which is funny, though, because it seems like every single person on that show still has a sob story that they love to tell.
I know.
And
It's just, I always think of it like this. I want someone to be picked that's like, yo, I'm rich. I was bored. That's it. Like, I'm pretty tough. I've won a couple fights in my rich neighborhoods. Fuck these guys. I don't even need this. I got to deal with Bellator if I want one.
I've joked so many times that, like, that's why I didn't get picked for Contenders, because I don't have a sob story. I was like, oh, yeah, man, I can pay my bills. I got 3 degrees. Let's go.
I think the hardest part, though, for you is that I was going to give you this advice when we were wrapping up, but I guess this is as good a time as any, is I was like, all right, if you have to do this again, and who knows, maybe you don't have to. I'm hoping that for whatever reason, they end up giving you a fight, because I don't see a fight for you yet. And we'll talk about that in a second. But I think the next time, because you were so sure that confrontation was going to be put in the edit, that I think you just got to like cover all your bases. I think you just got to go in on every single person so that they have to pick one of them. And it'll be like, you know what? I don't like your hair. Take that. Oh, shit. Look who it is. No good half guard. Am I right, everybody? Boom. Your crawfish sucks. And then like watch the crawfish be the one that like sends somebody like, what'd you say? What'd you say? My sauce wasn't good? And be like, yeah, dude, it's pretty whack.
I was big time instigating too, though, all the time. You won't hit him. You're gonna fight him. Why are you scared of him? 100% of the time, I was instigating whatever I could.
If that's the case, that's probably why they took out your voice. Because the joke I had for you, and I can't even do it. It's so mean. But the joke I had for you was originally when I was going to bring up editing was, what was the thing that you were most upset that got edited out? And I knew the real answer was going to be like, I don't know, me for half of the season. And I didn't know what to
I
do,
didn't
but
get
I was like,
none of the interviews. I didn't get nothing. I
I
don't
was
know.
just like, bro, did like you were there, right? Like, I think they made a disconcerted effort to almost blur you out toward the end of that show, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, but there's a few of us. Like, Lee felt the same way. There was a couple of guys that like they did not put any of our confessional interviews in. And like, I know Joey had told me multiple times. He's like, "Man, that was really good stuff. You know, you doing a really good job in here. Great interviews, great sound bites. Everything was awesome." None of it got in. Not a single bit of it. And like Lee was the same way. They kept using like Carlos and Landon and like just there's a couple of the same people over and over again. I didn't understand. I don't know why they like them more.
That's fine. And again, it's one thing if you're not in fight contention anymore, but that's all the more reason to have you guys be the narrators on saying, "Oh, this fight was bananas. Let me tell you about Brad and Timur because that was a bananas fight. I'll talk about that for days." Or, "Man, did you know that this happened? That was crazy at the house." Like having those through lines to help tell those stories. I can almost guarantee you did touch on those things. I think what ends up happening is guilty. As an editor, sometimes you don't have that much time. Sometimes you go, whoever got there quickest is who I have to use. Ah, shit. This dude literally said it in a sentence. Fuck, I've got to use it. And I have been in places where I don't look great, but I say it faster than somebody else. And let's say it's an interview like this, and the joke didn't work. My jokes are the first thing to go. My stuff I try to take out, but I'm in charge. When you're not in charge, you look at it and you go, "Oh, they picked that. Ugh, okay, not my best work."
Not
But
and it's so crazy too because like I watched every week with my mom and my wife. Right, that's who I watched every week with, and my mom would be like, why aren't you in the show more? And I'd be like, Mom, I don't know. I didn't make the decision. But she would come over every week, no matter what, just to watch me in the intro. And every time, I think you've got the best picture in the intro. Your picture is the best one. You're the only one smiling, and you look the best. I was like, thanks, Mom.
having said that, what was the reaction you got from friends and family when they did get to view it? I mean, obviously the wife and the mom are a pretty easy audience to win over here, but I have to imagine your training partners, your friends. I know that had to be a whole thing, and I hope you understand. I watched some of the stuff delayed partially on purpose, but I definitely wanted to give you your space. So I was like, I'm not gonna comment to you on this week. Like you already are getting inundated by people, and that was gonna be win or lose. I was like, I'm giving you a couple days because you've had to sit on this knowledge, and now everybody's gonna flood you with it. So, what was the reaction though from everybody else?
Man, so everybody that knows me, like, man, you did a great job. You're winning your spots. Just a couple things, right? And even the coaches on the show, like Roddy and Cav and all, they were like, you didn't lose that fight because you were technically worse. He beat you in a couple spots. He caught you with the uppercut, and then that's easy round to steal at that point. But so like there was a lot of people that you're tough as hell. We've known that forever. You're a great fighter. But then I had so many people tell me that I made them cry, and I was like, "What the? I didn't. I'm sorry." Like just interview you gave after and all that. I was like, "Fuck, my bad, guys. Shoot, I'm sorry." But then I had a lot of people. I would get. So let's say if five people inbox me, right? They were in the request folder. Uh, Four of them were very complimentary, and then one person would tell me how much I suck. Like, man, I really liked you until you fought, shit like that. And I'm like, thanks. I really appreciate what you have to say. But so like lots of you're tough as hell, you're really really good. Just a little bit more. You know, it was a really tough fight she had. You probably got the hardest guy in week one. You know, and like I know all that stuff, but everybody was super complimentary, and I hated it because you know you have the watch party for everybody to come out just to spend time with them, and they're like, "Man, you're having a watch party. I know you won," and then you lose, and then they're like, "Ah, you did awesome. Still love you," you know, and I'm like, "Appreciate it," you know, and so it sucks being the one that lost. Like it really does, and that's no matter what, no matter when. Um, but like I said in the show, I know that the people that are behind me, they love me. And win or lose, they're going to be there. And they were, and they are still. So that's probably the biggest thing that I can take from it is I know I made a couple fans that day, and I don't think I lost any. So it's cool with me.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the best compliment I could pay you is on that show, you were the person I knew. And a lot of times that's not necessarily the case. Sometimes there's a glimmer in the eye of there's a camera on me now, so I'm gonna make the most of this. And we are very much moving toward a combat scene where that's the norm. Like they understand that gets a response, and the expectation is because they do the combat sport, people will follow that up with, "Oh, you got to respect them." And I'm like, I don't respect any part of that hype. I think it's fucking dumb. And yeah, I get why you guys want to see a Paul brother fight. I'm not all that interested. And I find it very weird that everybody has to give the credibility and loan the credibility so the machine can continue. But those of us who recognize what it is, it's like, don't make me say this is a good fight because objectively it is not. It is just what people crave because they like fights. And so that to me is where I see what you did. You fought, and it was a respectable fight. And it was one where I go, a great fight from him. My man's tough as nails. Easily, lots of people get to see that, but you weren't a different person on the show. Like you went back home and you were that guy again. And that is not easy to do. So that is why I was like, yeah, that's cool. Like, yeah, I'm going to give you shit because you were filming your dogs, but that's who you are. So to me, I just like, I was telling my wife, I go, yeah, you know what's great? He had an opportunity to maybe take it a different way, and nobody would even give you mess. Nobody would say, like, oh, he's pretending to be a dick. Like we'd all be in on it, but you didn't take the low dangling fruit. Like you basically you went in, you came back out, you're good. Which I guess begs the question, why no fight? And I'll tell you my thoughts. It's difficult not to see the Ultimate Fighter crew get a fight after this. So, okay, yeah, things happen, but normally there's a card. And I get Dana recently said in an interview, they've got fights lined up all the way through March. Sounds dope. Don't hear one for you. Don't hear one for most of the cast. And they may get sprinkled in, but it is very jarring to not see you guys there. So, what gives? Do you want to fight? And I guess the idea is in your head, logistically or idealistically, where would you like said fight to happen or under what circumstance?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm ready to fight. Right now I'm in a weird spot. Like I was hoping to fight before mid September because we're going on vacation September 17th. But I'm ready to go. I'm fat, but I could still make weight in 2 weeks if I need to. Pretty much is where I'm at. So I'm down for short notice. If they want me to come in and do something in 2 weeks, a week, 4 days, I can always do that. It puts me in another situation that's tough to win, but I've never been scared of anything. You know, I'll fight anybody. I'll come back from whatever. Our first interview that we ever did together was after I got double cut from a knee that probably would have finished most people, and I came back and beat that dude 4 minutes later. Um, so I'm not scared of a hard fight. I've taken in my whole career. Had they asked me to fight Nasrat in 2 weeks, I would have fought Nazareth, 100%. There's no doubt in my mind. Like 10-fight UFC vet, I don't care. That's the reason that I came up the way I did, is so I could jump in straight away and fight the highest level guys out there. So if they're ready for me to come in on a week's notice and do that, I'm down. Um, Basically, I I'll fight wherever. But if for some reason something doesn't come up soon, find me on the other side of the world. I either want to fight a mile from my house where I can sleep in my bed, or I want to go to the other side of the world. I've always wanted to use fighting as a means to see other stuff and visit other cultures, especially Asia. Take me to Asia, Japan, Singapore, anywhere over there. I'm so down. I want to fight there. I want to be a part of those crowds, especially uh, seeing what happened with the Korean Zombie the other day and the way that they treated him. That's special. You know, there's not many crowds in the world that would do that and that would treat him that way. And there's a bunch of them over there. So that's going to be a dream and a goal of mine for as long as I'm fighting. So hopefully sometime in the next year I can get over there and get a good fight in. Uh, that's pretty much where I'm at, though. You know, I'd still love to fight for the UFC. They're number one. They've been the goal for years now. Um, I feel like I could put a good account of myself in there, and I'd love to go prove it some more. You know, I was the only 155er that didn't get finished, and so like there's a reason for that. I fought the toughest dude on the show. Unfortunately, lost to Kurt. He was winning the first round, got caught. Happens to all of us at some point. You fight long enough. So like I still believe Austin's probably about as good as it gets out there right now. He had 8 fights in the UFC, and I came in and fought him for what would essentially be my UFC debut. You know, that was basically a UFC tournament, and so I'm down to fight whoever. You know, 8-fight UFC vet. I went all 10 minutes. I would have gone all 15 if I had to. And if they wanted to do it as an LFA title fight and give me 3 more rounds after that, I would have taken those 3 as well. You know, I'm just down for whatever fight I can get. So let me have one.
While we're on the subject, can we get you to maybe stop the boss from teasing us? Because I swear to God, the amount of times Lovato puts up a post like question mark, I'm like, I can't do this, man. It's too much. And then he goes over, wins a Masters Worlds title. Dick move. Let these poor dudes, these old dudes, go compete in peace. They just want to have a good weekend, bro, and you're making life difficult from them. So
His first 2 opponents had magical injuries today. I don't know what happened.
You know what? I would have too. And I consider him a friend, but I don't think we would be friendly if he was competing against me. Because even when I rolled with him, I was like, there's no part of me that wants to fully do this. Like,
it's rough.
Yeah, you're a tough dude, and he's still taking out people like Monstro, where you go, yeah, this wasn't really designed for your benefit, and yet here we are. You still are very good at this. Let's never forget that. So yeah, just kind of pass it along to him. Like, we don't need to. And if you're gonna do it, just fucking do it. Like, at this point, I can't take these teases and I can't take these drop-ins. All right, dude. I have taken up so much of your time. I wanted to get your full story because we had teased it out, and you know, unfortunately, my schedule has been very piss poor. But I also thought, you know what, let me see it through. And I was hoping I would see more of you in the show to get more of your perspective from it. And then I realized, you know what? That's what this is. We're going to get your perspective and put it on here. And we're going to have this document the missing episodes because you became like a sitcom character, like a child that disappeared from season 2 to 3. So when I was like, where did that kid go? Did they get a new Aunt Viv? Like, what's happening? Like, I don't know what happened here. So I immediately thought about it and I said, you know, this actually works to our benefit. So we'll be able to do a nice cap on it. So what I'd like to do, as I always do, I want to give you an opportunity to shout out sponsors. I see you're wearing one right now, but I want to give you an opportunity to go ahead and give shout outs to even anybody you wanted from the experience that you had on The Ultimate Fighter and anybody that's been helping you in the training session, sir. So the camera is all on you now.
No, I mean, first and foremost, I really appreciate, UFC and the tough guys for giving me that shot. Dude, it was an amazing experience, once in a lifetime kind of things. I mean, they can't take that away. I was on Ultimate Fighter season 31, Team McGregor versus Team Chandler. And it was the first season on ESPN, so shout out ESPN too, that was really sick. As far as my coaches, Steve, Raphael, Jesse, they know I love them to death. Couldn't do this without them. And the teammates, my boys in the room with me every single day. You guys, you're best out there. I really could not be doing this without you, and I've had to, unfortunately, before. Sometimes that room gets really slim. Uh, as far as sponsors and everything goes, like I got, White's Equipment Rental, White's Equipment. He's got so much, and they've done so much for me. I really appreciate them. They were the ones that really helped me get to Vegas that day, to come out there for the imaginary tryout. Then Harry Sell, Tech Plumbing, you guys absolutely best people out there. Really love all of you guys that have supported me. My guys back here at Zip Chair gave me this cool chair. Now I get to do interviews in it with my logo on my back. Really super cool stuff. Honestly, I couldn't do this without you guys, especially you, Raf. Uh, love all of y'all. Y'all are really, the ones that keep me going. And then Jordan is probably the biggest supporter I've got, and she held down the house for 6 weeks by herself, kept all the animals alive, didn't let anybody get out. Uh, there ain't really anything else you can ask from somebody, but hey, I need you to just stay home for 6 weeks and keep everything ironed out and keep living your life without me there, where I would be doing all these things for you and we would be making this stuff happen together. And now you got to do it by yourself, while I go chase this crazy dream and don't use the 3 degrees that I have to pay for still.
Well, don't worry. We all have degrees that we probably just would. This doesn't do much anymore. So you're not the only one in that boat, my friend. But I want to definitely tell you, man, great work. And I am very much looking forward to whatever's next for you. So I kind of gave a preview of that earlier when I said, watch what the cast does next. And for you, I don't understand how that's not a no brainer. Like, you have a really good record still. That doesn't go away. And you put up a great fight. You would think that would kind of give you some kind of inkling there. So even though there's not something on the card at the moment, and they didn't have an Ultimate Fighter finale, you can't help but think something is in the works at some point and time. It's just a matter of being patient and letting that opportunity unfold. But it's not for lack of trying. I know you're definitely trying to get out there, and I gotta tell you, I'm ready to see whatever it is, sir.
Absolutely appreciate that. And I'll tell you 100%, if for whatever reason it doesn't happen, it's not going to be because I didn't work my ass off to deserve it. It's not going to be because I didn't earn it, because I've put in the work every single day. And I know I'm good enough to do it. So
Good on you, man. Here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna close up this bitch, but I'm gonna say bye to you off air. So hang out for just a second as I close this up. But as always, sir, a pleasure, and it was really a blast to see my friend on television. So you did well, and you represented your team, your family, and all your friends very, very well, sir.
thank you, brother.
All right, let's do this. Hey, before we get on out of here, like, comment, subscribe. Let's say this. Let's say you watch this video, you made it all the way through, and you have no comment on any of the 10 to 20 topics that we brought up in this conversation. What I'm going to ask you to do is leave a comment of a salacious rumor about Aaron that didn't get aired. See, listen, you didn't have to pay attention to the entire interview. You could just make some shit up, because guess what? That's what other people do. And I'm not even talking about the people who probably interviewed him. I don't think they did. I think he just got misquoted because headlines. So, yeah, this is a weird world, man. If anybody knows Aaron, he's not a malicious dude, and had the opportunity to say some shit about Connor and still didn't do it. So I think you can kind of put those dots together. Here's what I would tell you, though. Put that comment down. Gives us some engagement, helps us as the show. You know what also helps us? Going over to HY.PAGE/grappling hour, becoming a member, $5 a month, 30 days before everybody else you see these videos. And if you so want to help us out for a few extra dollars more a month, what you can do is you can see bonus content not available anywhere else. So we're talking extra mini-sodes, tape studies, roasting my competition footage, and yes, even some of my rolling footage, because why the fuck not? And the last thing before we get on out of here, join the Discord. All right, guys, that's going to do it for us here at the Grappling Hour. It has been a great day for grappling. We'll see you back on the mats.